Hey everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. Oh boy, alright. One of these days, I swear I'll start this video by saying I'm going into this chapter completely unspoiled, without knowing any of the big going-ons that happen, but that's not this week. Eventually I'll reach the limit of how muted and blocked accounts, so I'll just completely free my Twitter feed from all these One Piece spoilers going around. Unfortunately, I do know what the big cliffhanger ending of this chapter is. Hopefully, my enjoyment isn't too dulled by knowing that going in, but guess what can you do? But let's dive right into it. I'm hoping the conclusion of what I've heard is satisfactory because I was iffy on the last chapter. So hopefully this one's a little bit, goes down a little bit better. So let's get right into it with chapter 923, Emperor of the Sea Kaido versus Luffy. Alright, 2 weeks in a row that we've gotten extremely good cover pages. So this week we've got Kid Sabo, Luffy, and Ace, and they're fighting beetles on a little tree stump. So it's request, Child Luffy, Ace, and Sabo having a contest with Atlas, Hercules, and Miyama beetles by Honey Liquor. And Ace is wearing a little shirt that says ruler on it, and he's kicking Luffy in the face, and looks like Luffy's beetle is beating the other two, and Sabo's all grabbing him by the cheeks. Super adorable. Love seeing this again. And we start the chapter off right where we ended it last week, with Luffy's giant elephant gun just pounding Kaido straight into the ground, at least the head anyway. And you got a giant Bagonk, and all the little cronies running away going, Lord Kaido has descended upon us. And then Luffy's just so mad. He's like, watch out, clear out of town. And then all the gifters are like, what happened? Who is that? He's like, hey, look, that's the guy who beat up Yokozuna Urashima and Master Hold'em. Murmur. And then Luffy lands, touches down on the ground. He goes, run away. He was crazy enough to attack Lord Kaido. He's like, huff, huff. It's like, they've got to be alright. They must have done something, right, guys? And you see a little, half moon crater blown into the mountain where Oden Castle was. And you have Shutenmaru just watching the fallout, taking a drink on his bull. And he's going, rest of you go back to the mountain. He's like, what, Shutenmaru? And he goes, I got a bad feeling about this. Yeah, if Shutenmaru, I know last chapter we got like the revelation, or at least the strong hints that Shutenmaru is a Shuradoji. If it is, I'd be kind of disappointed with how that plays out. Because I did posit a theory on Twitter where, I looked into the mythos of Shutenmaru, who was actually a demon, like a famous demon in Japanese mythos. And, he had a right-hand man, who was called, I have to look up what the name was, but you find on my Twitter feed. But I was kind of wondering, speculating, if this Shutenmaru is actually Ashura Doji's right-hand man, or is kind of faking us out, but we'll have to wait for confirmation on that. And then you have someone going, Miss Speed, and Luffy looks back. He goes, hang in there, ma'am, what happened? We thought you were outside of town. It's like she just fell to the back street from the backside of Lord Kaido's cape. And Speed's just looks like totally just beaten up and bruised and bloodied. And Luffy's like, hey, that's Horsalina. Like, Horsalina? And he's like, what are you doing here? Where's Tama? You took her back home, right? And she goes, along the way, huff. Lord Kaido spotted me, huff. I fought hard, but I couldn't protect Master. And she's just like beaten and bruised and bloody. Luffy's so mad. Oh man. And you flash back to Speed. He's like meeting Kaido, and he goes, where are you going, Speed? I've heard a disquieting story about you. Luffy's just getting even more pissed. And he flashes back to Tama going, big bro, between the Oshiruko and the apples, I'll never forget the flavors I tasted today. Alright, this is probably the only pet peeve of the chapter, because you see, the apple that Tama had, that Luffy gave her, crushed on the ground. And you see her lying on the ground, knocked out or presumed dead. You know, blood splatters everywhere. I don't buy this. This is obvious. Like, this is an obvious fake out for us pretending that Tom was dead to get Luffy even more pissed. It's more than likely, I'm guessing, that's Speed's blood that's on the ground there, but whatever. And then Luffy's just grabbing the dirt and he goes, "Damn it, I should have stayed at her side." And then Law's like, "Straw Hat, what do you think you're doing? We've got to flee. Knowing how huge he is, you might not even realize what just happened. Are you trying to ruin our plans?" Okay, alright. I haven't been completely 100% behind post time skip Luffy, but I love his badass moments like this where he's like, "If I destroy him now, it's all over anyway. We don't even know if Kinemon's crew, my crew, or your crew is alive and well at the moment." I want to talk about that because it's related to my thoughts on 922, but I'll wait till the end of the video to get into that. And then Law's just looking back at the giant smoking crater, and he goes, "Kaido, I'm right here." Kaido's like glares at him. He's like, "Aye, Lord Kaido's looking this way. Huh? Is he drunk?" And he goes, "And you are?" And he goes, "Luffy, the man who will be king of the pirates." And he goes, bang. And then Kaido opens his mouth, sends out another blast as all the cronies scatter. And of course, Luffy's just hops out of the way before the blast hits. And he goes, "So you've come to Wano." And then looks like Luffy jumped up into the air and grabbed Speed with him. And he throws her to one of the cronies. And he goes, "Ah, Miss Speed." And then goes up into the air again, stretched back with another gum elephant gatling. And he's just laying into Kaido, you know, full blast, hitting him right in the chest and the face. And Kaido's head's just like rolling back. And he's like, "Whoa, what's up with him? He's totally pummeling Lord Kaido." And Kaido just gets a fist to the face and just wham, 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 kabam. Hey, quiet. Dogs are interrupting my recording here. And then he goes more wham, 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 wham. And Kaido's just falling backwards onto the town. And they're just, all the cronies are going, Zadoom, as he crashes into the ground. And then shoo, he starts shrinking and is like, he's back to human form again. Is Kaido all right? It's like, "Supreme Commander Kaido." It goes bam. It's like, ooh. It's like that guy transformed. Hey. Shh. Sorry about that. My dogs are just making some noise there. It's like that guy transformed. He grew bigger. Here he comes, Kaido. A Gear 4 bounce man. Gum Kong organ gun. And just laying into Kaido with the same attack he used on Cracker and his little doll army in the back. This dynamic action pose. He's good, rah, and you know, da 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 da. It seems like da 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 sound as he's like machine gun pummeling him. And another fist to the face, and he's like wham 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 wham. He's like huff huff wheeze wheeze. It's like yeah, kaboom. Kaido's laid out flat on his back again. People like murmur. Law, Hawkins, and Shootenmaru just watching it. And Shootenmaru's going, "Who's that fella?" Then Kaido sits back up and he goes, and he grabs his club. He goes, And then an awesome scene where he just like zooms past Luffy with a Thunder Bagua. Just smacks him with his mace. Oh yes, Luffy just goes flying. All the air comes out of his Gear 4 form. He just lands on the ground. Kaido's just like, "What king was that, boy?" Oh yes. Oh, this is so good. Luffy is knocked out stone cold, eaten dirt. His face is just a mess. Like, one strike, he's got taken out. Oh, man. Okay, I don't know how many of you have seen Thor Ragnarok. If you have, minor spoilers, but that scene where Hela is just, holding down Thor, and she's telling him, tell me again, brother. It's like, what were you the god? Tell me, brother, what were you the god of again? Same vibes from this panel, and it's just, oh, I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Oh, Kaido's so incredibly badass, and I knew it. Like, this is something I've been positing for a long time now, is that, Luffy is not going to be able to take on Kaido as he is now. And even by the end of the arc, like the final battle, I don't think he will be able to do it alone. And I've said there's going to be a supernova team up, there's going to be a whole bunch of power ups. But this has convinced me that he has to awaken his fruit in this battle against Kaido to even remotely stand a chance against him. And Kaido's not going down unless it's a supernova team up. There's no way Luffy as he is now is taking down Kaido. But alright, so let's get back to some of the other stuff. So this was the biggest complaint I had against 922. Was something we see in this chapter where Luffy tells him, "Oh, we don't know what happened to my crew. We don't know if they're all right. We don't know if your crew's all right or if Kinemon and company are all right." And to me, that's always been kind of like the problem with One Piece, for me especially, is all of Luffy's actions last chapter rationally and logically make a lot of sense, because he's not the type of person to stand by and watch as someone terrorizes, innocent people. And of course, it makes sense he'd go after him because he's like, I have to take out Kaido. Why don't I take him out now? Because I can't just stand here and watch as he's doing this when he's right in front of me. And so that makes sense. And then again, the part after that where Kaido drunkenly goes and blasts the mountaintop off. Again, it makes sense from Luffy's perspective, that he gets infuriated because, like, oh, how dare you attack my friends? Because, I get that Luffy is basically the audience surrogate for most of these chapters, in which we're supposed to see the world through his eyes and kind of relate to, the struggles and decisions he makes through his lens. So in that regard, it makes sense that he's acting out when he thinks his friends might be potentially maimed or killed or hurt or whatever. And that's why, he went on the attack. But on the other hand, post time skip, Oda has not committed to any kind of, consequences for the Straw Hats or any kind of like sense of danger. Because, it starts something like in Dressrosa where Law gets his arm chopped off by Doflamingo and then he gets it stitched up and healed by the end of the arc. Or Whole Cake Island where Luffy, breaks a tooth, grows it back, gets his arm nearly chopped off by Cracker, heals instantaneously, all these little contrivances kind of build up to the point where, there's that distance between, us thinking, was the crew actually in danger? And Luffy having to consider every time that, yes, the crew is in danger, they will actually have to die. And every time Oda does that, it just takes the tension out of it a little bit each time. Like, even the stuff with Tama this chapter, we're supposed to, like, think, oh, is she dead? Is she safe? Is she hurt? Whatever. We know Oda's not going to do anything to kids, apart from a flashback. In the current time, nothing's ever really going to happen to them. So I'm not a huge fan of him continually pulling that when we know that the characters are always going to remain safe. So again, not a fan of that, but we'll have to see what the fallout for it is. I know I did suggest on theories on Twitter that, I expect that Kinemon has probably saved the Straw Hats and Co. Someone pointed out to me earlier that for last chapter that Kinemon was running off after them, so he might not have had enough time to go back and save them. So maybe Shinobu or someone else pulled something, but I was thinking Kinemon because on Punk Hazard he saw him using his fire sword style, to cut through the flames and kind of save. Oh no, Okiku. Because if Okiku was Kinemon's like disciple or understudy or whatever, then she knows the same cutting style as he does, and she could have cut the explosion and saved them. Because remember on Punk Hazard, Kinemon was able to cut the explosion flame blast from the slimes when they exploded he's like, oh, that's my fire cutting technique. So even if he's not there, if Okiku has the same sword style, she could have cut the blast and saved them. If not, maybe one of the others did it. But, we know they're safe, so I'm not really too worried about what's happened with them. I am interested in seeing if they are, how they got out of it, but, but man, this was a good chapter. I'm just hoping, like, this makes me wonder now that Luffy's been knocked out, is he going to be thrown in prison, and how much will this accelerate the plans? Because I've always speculated that Kaido's going to tell Big Mom when he captures Luffy that, hey, I've got Straw Hat, captured in jail here, come and pick him up whenever you want. So I'm wondering how that's going to affect the plans of, is Law just going to zoom in, take Luffy and escape, or is Kaido actually going to throw him in jail? But either way, this chapter was a good setup, but I'm still wary of what's going to happen in the next one. Final note I want to end on, I am so happy though, because I heard so many fans, telling me after Whole Cake Island that, oh, the point of the arc was that Luffy's gonna know what it means to take on an emperor. Luffy understands, not to take things so lightly anymore. And the fact that Kaido just one shot at him blows all those stupid sentiments away. Luffy rushes in blindly, because I've always said that Luffy's biggest problem is that he's always been too impulsive. Like, he rushes into things head first. He's always managed to kind of overcome any situation through sheer strength and willpower alone. And I'd like this arc to be the first case of where he's like, strength and willpower are no longer enough. They can't get me through this. He's just too powerful. So I'm hoping this leads to a change in how Luffy starts approaching situations going forward, and how he starts thinking. But again, like, we'll have to wait to see what happens. It's a good precedent, but yeah. Overall, good chapter. I would say 3 out of 5 rating. I want to rate it higher, but honestly, like, there was a lot of punching, there was a lot of fighting in this chapter, and that's not really what I look forward to in One Piece anymore. So seeing that kind of gets a little bit stale for me. And I don't like the Tama fake out, because we know she's going to be alive and unhurt next chapter. If she isn't, I'm more than happy to be proven wrong and take back everything I said, but I don't think I am. But looking forward to next week, and hopefully this is the start of when Wano starts really picking up. And yeah, that's it. So I think I'll end that here, and until next time, I'll talk to you again.